Yeah. So now let's get started with object-oriented programming using C Sharp with some practical examples. Okay. Oops, with the C Sharp. So what are we going to discuss now? Defining a class and creating object, and then passing methods to, arguments to methods. How to pass arguments to methods. Okay. Then we will also see today something called constructor. Okay, and different types of constructors. What is constructor and different types of constructors. Okay, we will also see what is this keyword usage in a C Sharp. Okay, yeah. So let's get started with the first example. Already we have done it. Theoretically I explained. Let's see with a small demo program how to define a class and how to instantiate or creating object of the class. Okay, so let's open Visual Studio. So what is class, guys? Class is a collection of data members and member variables. Okay, so we call it as a template to an object, or class is used to create user defined data types in C Sharp. So let us take console app.NET framework and click on next. So now we are selecting a folder as it is, or the project name I'm giving as oops1. Okay, and click on create. So oops1 is my project name, and it is creating a namespace called oops1 here, and we are trying to add some classes. Okay, let's create a class called, see guys, this is the namespace. So what is this part? We are importing the existing namespaces which are available, and here I'm creating my own namespace. And whenever you create a new project, it will create a namespace with the project name. So after that we have a class called program. Inside the class program we have a main method. Okay, where the execution starts from main method. We know it. So now what we are doing is we are defining another class called sample here. Class sample. So inside the sample class we are writing some methods like public void hello. Hello is a public type method. So let's print hello message, hello from sample method. Like that I have written some message. And after this I can write variables and methods together, right, in a class. But I'm writing at present only methods. Okay, this time I'm saying internal void welcome. Like this I have done. Okay, internal is, so what is this public? Public is access modifier. Internal is also access modifier. Okay, and just I'm printing message welcome from sample method or sample class. Hello from sample class, like that I'm writing welcome from sample class, like that I've just given message. Okay, so public access modifier, internal is also there, and finally I'm saying something called private. Okay, void I said hi. Okay, so here I'm writing console.writeline hi from sample class, like that I've given some message. So now let's try to call all these methods. So in order to call any method from a class, first we have to create object of the class. So how do we create object? Come to main class. Inside this I have to create object sample s is equal to new sample. So this is called as instantiation or creating object reference variable, also known as instantiation. Instantiation means we are creating instance, means we are creating object. Who is this Kartikan? Hello. Who is this ma? Karthik or somebody else?
Karthik already uన్నారు sir.
Then who is this Karthikan? Karthikan, who is this ma?
సార్ నేనే సార్ కార్తిక్ అదే అది ఎగ్జిట్
Okay,
అయ్యి వచ్చాను సార్.
okay, fine, fine. Okay. So let's continue now. So we have class called sample in which we have hello method, welcome method. Hello is having public access modifier and welcome is having internal, and void, I mean hi is having private access modifier. So now, as with our theoretical class, what I told you, public can be accessible anywhere outside the class, anywhere in the namespace or outside the namespace also. Internal is accessible in all the classes in the current namespace. Okay. Coming to private is accessible within the current class only. But sample class is here, but I'm trying to call this high from outside. Is it possible or not? Let's check it out. So sample s is equal to new sample is called as creating object or instantiation. Okay. So now what are we doing? S dot hello. I can call hello, which is of public type, and s dot welcome, yes I can call it, though it is internal type, but I cannot call s dot hi, but still I'm writing it. See what we're saying, guys, when I say s dot hi, since it is private, we cannot access. What it is saying, sample.hi is inaccessible due to its production level, so we cannot access it until unless you change it. Even if you remove, by default access modifier is private only. So whether you say private void har empty highs, you are getting same error. But once you make this as public or internal, see guys, now the error is gone. So this point you need to remember. If you want to access anything outside the class, it should be either public or internal. Okay. But if you don't specify any access modifier, that is by default private inside the class. That is why you have to mention either public or internal. Okay. So let's run this and check it out. Console.read key. Since I changed this as public, it's no issue. Okay, let's run it and see. See the output, guys. You will get output for all the three methods. Hello from sample class, welcome from sample class, and hi from sample class. In this way, we can work with the what you call classes and object definition. All are done. Okay. So now let's continue with another example where we are talking about okay, creating a method. So first one is completed, guys. The first example is done, defining a class and creating object is done. So now we are trying to create a class which is having some arguments, and we are passing them to methods of the class. How to do it? Okay, let's switch to Visual Studio, create a new project. So next I said oops to create. So here I'm going to create a class called rectangle class. I'm going to show you passing arguments to methods. Okay, so let's create a class called rectangle, rect, or rectangle also you can give, it's not a problem. So inside this I'm taking variables like private integer, or you can take double also if you have decimal places. Okay, private integer. So what I'm giving, length, breadth, area, and perimeter. I have taken these variables of private type. Why I am taking my member variables as private means because they hold data. So that is the reason I don't want to share data to all of them. So we are defining member variables, also known as instance variables. Okay, so now we need to write the methods. So what are the methods I'm taking? Public void accept. So what is the accept method is going to do? It is taking some parameters, and those parameters values I'm assigning to my length and breadth. So what should I do? I'm taking integer L and integer B. So those are the
So
parameters.
those
So
are the
user,
parameters. So
Sir,
user,
already programs
so please mute yourself, ma.
please
So whenever you pass values into L and B, those values I wanted to store into my length and breadth. So what I'm writing here, length equals to L and breadth equals to B. So same way I'm writing the remaining methods also public void calci. Calci for calculating area and perimeter. So to calculate area is equal to length into breadth. Okay, and perimeter is equal to 2 into L plus B, 2 into length plus breadth. So this is said to be 2 into L plus B. Now we are going to display the result of area and perimeter. So public void display. So what are we doing here? We are just printing length and breadth also can print, or only area of rectangle and the perimeter you want to print, which you can print only those things. So area followed by rectangle, a perimeter also I'm printing. Okay, yeah, this is going to be peri. So done, guys. So what is this class is all about? We have defined a class called rectangle in which we have a two member variables for accepting length and breadth, and the remaining two is for calculating, that is said to be area and perimeter. Coming to accept method is having two arguments, two parameters, where we are taking two values into L and B. So L value I'm assigning to length and B value I'm assigning to breadth. Okay, so here L and B are like a local variables, but coming to length, breadth, area, peri, member variables or instance variables. So we can access these variables across all the methods of the class. So I can use length, breadth, area, peri in accept method as well as calci as well as display. So that is why, so area is equal to length into breadth and perimeter is equal to, I'm just calculating 2 into L plus B, that is said to be length and breadth. Now finally we are displaying results. Okay, so let's try to call it, guys. But this time when you're calling these methods, so for the first method we have to pass some parameters. See, this method is having two parameters, but calci and display doesn't have any parameters. So let's try to call in such a way that we are able to utilize. So calling, so creating object of rectangle class, otherwise we cannot call them. So rectangle r is equal to new rectangle, we have created object. Now how do we call it? R dot accept the first, whenever you open it is showing two parameters, I said 10 and 5, and then I need to call a calci method because I want to calculate area and perimeter. Finally r dot display, which is displaying result. Okay, so console dot read key. Okay, so let's run it and see, guys. So the first method, accept method, is having two parameters, but remaining two doesn't have any parameters. Like this we can make use of classes and we can pass parameters to methods. Okay, see the output, guys. See, what is the area of rectangle? 50, and perimeter of rectangle is 30, because 2 into, I mean, what is this, 10 and 5, right? 2 into L plus B, so that is a 30, length into breadth, so that is 10 into 5, 10 pies are 50 and 2 into L plus B 30. So like this you are able to calculate so area and perimeter of rectangle using methods, and we have taken member variables here or instance variables, and this is said to be method with the parameters. So you can say here method with the parameters, and here we don't have any parameters, empty, here also empty, no parameters. Okay, that's all about the next example. Let me copy and paste this also in our notes. So let us copy the first one as well. Oops, one, right? Oops, one. Yeah, Any doubts in this, ma?
సార్
Any doubts,
సార్
ma?
మనం డైరెక్ట్గా లెంత్ అని బిల్డ్ చేస్తున్నాం కదా సార్,
Hmm.
మనం ఇవ్వకుండా యూజర్ యాక్సెప్టేషన్ ఎలా సార్?
Okay, fine, good question. So I don't want to give values directly, rather I want to ask the values at runtime. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So instead of giving 10 and 5, he want to pass at runtime. Okay, so in that case what to do is take two variables here. So you can take len comma bre, length and breadth. So ask the user for values, enter length. Okay, so take that into len is equal to convert dot to imperative of console dot read line. Okay, length is ready. Same way breadth also you need to ask, copy paste. And now, so take breadth here. Here the variable name is bre, or you can take x and y also, guys, no problem. And just instead of 10 and 5, just pass len and bre. That's it, your job is done. So now let's run it and see. See, length I said 20 and breadth is 10. See here, 10 into 20 200, 2 into l plus v, so 2 into 30 60. Perfect. Is it clear, guys?
సార్
Gopal, is it clear? So like this, you can take
sir.
two variables, read the values into variables, and you can pass them into the method, whatever method you have, you can pass them. Okay, so that is the way to work with. Let me copy this also. Yeah, so now we are moving to what is our notes. One second, guys, let me save it with the date. Zero 411. Okay, so we are done with the first two. Passing arguments to method is completed. Defining class and creating object is done. Now we are moving to one more important topics in C#, that is the constructor. Okay, so what is constructor and how to create it? Let's get started. So guys, please listen carefully. Any doubts during the session, please let me know. So now what we are talking about is called as constructor. So what is constructor? Constructor is a special member function which is having same name as class name, which has the same name as class name, and it will be called implicitly as soon as we create object. And it is used, the purpose of constructor is used to initialize the members of the class, initialize the data members of the class or member variables of the class. Okay, so constructor, what is the specialty of constructor? Constructor cannot have return type, the first one. And the second one is constructor will be called, let me write it here, constructor will be called implicitly as soon as we create object. So whenever I create object, automatically by default constructor will be called. Okay, and constructor cannot have return type because it is special, right? Constructor name and class name is same, and we don't have any return type. Even void also we cannot write. That is the first thing we need to remember. And then coming to the constructor, we can pass arguments to a constructor. We can pass arguments. Okay, and constructor overloading is possible. What is overloading? We can write two means we can write two or more constructors in one class. We can write two or more constructors in a class. Okay, so that is the point we need to remember. So constructor cannot have return type. We cannot write in return type to the constructor like void, like public void hello, like that I wrote now. We cannot write like that. Public is okay, but we cannot write void hello or int hello, something like that is not possible. And we can pass arguments to methods, like how we pass arguments to methods. Same way we can pass arguments to constructor. Okay. So types of constructors means there are different types of constructors. So number one, constructor, a default constructor, which is also known as instance constructor or parameterless constructor. Instance constructor or parameterless constructor. Okay. Coming to the second one is parameterized constructor. Third one is static constructor. Okay, or static block, you can say. So these are the different types of constructors. Is it clear, guys? So let's get started with an example. When you see the example, you can understand. Constructor is a special member function which has the same name as class name. So constructor name means it's a special member function, a special method. Why it is special? The name of the constructor and class should be same, and it is the purpose of constructor is to initialize data members of the class. And constructor will be called implicitly, that is the specialty. So it will be called automatically. Implicitly means automatically. And constructor cannot have return type. We cannot give void class name or void and constructor name. Void is also not allowed. And we can pass arguments to constructor. Okay, and overloading of constructor is possible. In the sense, you can write two or more constructors in a class. So let's get started with a small demo, guys. So what are we doing? We are creating a new project. So console app.NET framework, I said oops 3. Okay, click on create. See guys, let us create a simple class called test. I said the class name is test. You can give anything, guys. So here I'm writing a method called public void hello. It's a normal method. Okay, normal method. Console.writeLine hello from test. This is a normal method, guys. Now, if I create an object, what happens? Test t is equal to new test. The class is ready. Object is ready. Okay, we have created an instance of the class. T is ready. So if I want to call hello, what should I say? T dot hello. Then you will get hello. So what are you doing here? This line number 20 is creating object. And whenever you say t dot hello, then only you are able to call the methods of the class. Fine, let's try it and see how it is working. Yes, hello from test is displayed. That is fine. But now what I want to do is I want to create another method. This method is called as constructor. So how do we create? Public test. Class name and method name should be same. That is called as difference between normal method and see normal method name can be anything. But if you give same class name, whatever is there, same thing, that is called as constructor. This is called as default constructor, also known as parameterless constructor or instance constructor. You can call like anything. And here, for the sake of idea, what I'm giving is default constructor invoked or constructor invoked, like that you can write it. Okay, so default constructor invoked, that is the message I want to give. So now guys, just a created object, but I forgot to call hello. Okay, I forgot to call hello. If you forgot to call hello, hello won't be executed. But coming to the constructor, you will be getting output for this constructor automatically because the object is created. Whenever object is created, automatically here the constructor will be called. Constructor called here. This point is important, guys. Let's write it and see the output. Default constructor invoked means constructor is already called. Who is calling this? So whenever you create an object, C sharp by default searches for a default constructor. Okay, if any default constructor is there, yes, we have tested with the same name, yes it is there, then it will call the constructor first, followed by any other method. You can call hello also. How to call? T dot hello. Just uncomment this and run it. Now you will see both the messages. First message is coming from default constructor, second message is coming from hello method. So hello method is a normal method, but constructor is a special member function. Why it is special? Number one, class name and constructor name should be same, so it's easy to identify what is the code inside my constructor. I need to check directly. Okay, that is the advantage of going with the constructor. So it is called automatically. So what is the main aim of constructor? It is not for displaying messages, guys. It is for initialization of variables. How to initialize variables of the class called employee? Let us see with the next example. This is the meaningful example. Right now what we have seen is just for checking whether it is called automatically or not. I want to check, that's why I created it. So now we are going to another example called oops 4, in which we are talking about constructor with a proper example. Okay, so let us take a class called employee, in which we have three member variables: private integer empid employee id, private string ename employee name, and private double salary or sal you can give. So I have three member variables now. Now what I want to do, I need to define a constructor or default constructor to my class. So what should I say? Public employee. Public is access modifier, you cannot give void or something, that is why we are giving public employee directly. And this employee id I want to initialize with 0. Ename I want to initialize with null. Null means nothing. And sal I want to initialize with 0 or 0 0.0. 0 0.0 is nothing but 0, right? You can give like this. Or any other values you want to give, like employee id 1001, name something, and salary something, that is also fine, you can give it. But right now I'm giving a default constructor. So what is this employee? This is, it doesn't have any parameters, right? This is called as default constructor or parameterless constructor. So now what I want to do, I want to display the result. I need to display, right? Public void display. I'm writing a method called display, which is printing the values of all the three member variables. So what I'm saying, first employee id plus empid, and then I want to print so name of the employee, so that I want to print here plus name, and finally ename, right? Ename, and finally I want to display salary also, so salary plus sal. Okay, fine, that is done. So now let's look at the class, guys. My class called employee. So what is the example is all about? Default constructor demo. So demo 2, previous one is demo 1, and this is demo 2. So we have a class called employee in which we have three member variables, and this is the default constructor which is having 0, null and 0, and display is just printing the values. Now let's create object of the class. So employee E1 is equal to first employee. So how many employees we have, that many objects we need to create. So first employee, see, whenever you create object, automatically default constructor. What is the default constructor? A constructor which doesn't have any parameters is called as default constructor. So that will be called, and you will get, whenever you call display, and you will get the output. How to call display? E1 dot display. So now let's see console dot read key. Save it and run it. See now, employee id 0, employee name of employees null, null means nothing, so you can't see anything, and salary is 0. So this is the way to write a default constructor. So most of the cases we write like this, because if user forgot to pass any values, we will get these default values like 0 or null or 0. So no boss, so instead of this I want to give some values. Yes, you can give it. Like I said, 1001 is employee ID. Let's, yeah, 1001 is employee ID. Name I said something like Surya, and salary is something like 25,000. Okay, I'm giving like this. So now I want to run the program. This time you will get 1001 employee ID, name of employee Surya, and salary is 25,000. So in this way we can simply make use of a default constructor or parameterless constructor. Let me copy and paste it here. Yeah. So now, so I don't want to give like this. Let me comment this construct. See guys, if I don't write this constructor, what happens? Can you guess the output, guys? Anybody? So I commented this code. I have class called employee in which I have three member variables. I don't have any constructor, just I'm displaying the results. So can you guess the output, guys? Let's run it. See the output? Employee ID 0, name of employee null, and salary is 0. Who gave it? So C sharp creates a default constructor automatically if you forgot to create the constructor. So that is why, though you forgot to create a constructor, it will be creating implicitly. So no problem. So how it is creating? All integer the double values variables will be with 0, and the string variable will be with null. Okay. So in that way it will be creating. C sharp creates an empty, I mean default constructor if you don't have any constructor, default constructor in a class. So that point we have to remember, guys. So how it creates? So note, if you forgot to create a constructor in a class, then C sharp implicitly creates a parameterless constructor. Okay, so that's the point you need to remember, guys. Okay, now, so can we pass parameters to constructor? Yes, so that is said to be parameterized constructor. So in this example only I'm calling, guys. Okay, copy paste second constructor. I'm writing some parameters to the constructor. This is called as parameterized constructor. So how do we call? We are taking parameters like integer x, string y, double z. The x value I'm passing to employee ID, y value string right I'm passing to name, and then z value I'm passing to sal itself. So that is said to be parameterized constructor. So first parameter, suppose I'm just making it as 0 null 0, because already we have seen how to print name and salary like that. Now I want to give 0 0 null. 0 for employee ID, another 0 for salary, and null I am giving for employee name, e-name. So this is called as basic default constructor. Coming to this one is, this is also same employee name only, class name only, but we have parameters here. Here there is no parameter. This is called as method overloading or constructor overloading, you can say. See guys, integer x, string y, double z. These are local variables. These values I am assigning to member variables. So empid contains x, ename contains y, and double salary contains z value. Okay. So now let's run it and see how it is working. So by default, if you don't specify any parameters at the time of creating constructor, it will always call the first default constructor. Because look at this, guys. Here do we have any parameters? No. So it will always call the default constructor. This one will be called. Let's check it out. So employee E1 is equal to new employee, run it, and you will get 0 null 0. Okay, that is the behavior of default behavior of a class without any parameters. Now I want to call this parameterized constructor. So what to do? So let's create another object of employee class. Employee E2 is equal to new employee. e2 dot display. Okay, but this time I want to pass some values, otherwise again I'll be getting null. So what I'm saying here, 1001 Surya, and then I'm giving salary like 25,000 or 27,000, something like this. Now I want to print. How to print? e2 dot display. Yeah. So the first object called e1 is calling what? Default constructor. We'll call default constructor. Coming to second one is calling a parameterized constructor. Calling parameterized constructor or constructor with arguments. You can call like anything. So let's see, guys. Let's run it and see. First one is 0 null 0, but second one you can see. Second one is printing a 1001 name employee name Surya and salary is 27. In between one object and another object, I want to give a new line. Just give slash and here, so it will come to new line, and then it looks good. See the output, guys. First object. So what is the purpose of creating a class? With one class you can create multiple objects. Right now we have first object called e1 where I did not pass anything. So that is the reason we got 0 null 0. But second object called e2 I have passed like employee id 1001 name Surya and salary 7,000. That's why we got it like this. So this way of creating multiple constructors in a class, and we can call them, this is called as constructor overloading. Okay, yeah, let us see one more small example in the same program and then we'll close it for today. So that is this keyword, how to use this keyword in a C sharp. Okay, so let me tell you another program. In that program itself I'm going to show you this constructor overloading. Along with that I want to show you something called what you call this keyword usage in the same program. What is the topic we are talking now? Constructor overloading. Then we will discuss static constructor and all later. Excuse me. Constructor overloading. What is constructor overloading? Writing two or more constructors in a class is called a constructor overloading. Okay, so let's get started with an example directly. So what is the case now? So we have a class called myDate. I'm creating a class called myDate. So what is this myDate class is all about? I want to take a date, month, year from user. So if user enters, see there are three scenarios, guys. First case one, situation one. In the first case, user enters, date, month, and year, all the three. Or user will not enter anything, guys. User will not give anything. So if user is not giving anything, then we have to supply. We have to give some default date. So what is default date? Like 1/1 2022, something like that I want to give, so that I can easily identify. Second one, user will give date and month only. So we have to supply give date, month and year also. So user will give only date and month, guys. So 2022 I need to give automatically without asking from user. Third one, user will give all the three. We have to print all the three. So there is no issue in the last case, right? User will give all the date, month and year. All the three. Three means date, month and year. So we have to give, oh sorry, user we have to give date, month, year, and user will give all the three. We have to give all the three. We have to display, or we have to give all the three. Okay, these are the three scenarios. So that is the reason I'm creating three constructors in my class, guys. So let's get started. Let's switch to Visual Studio. Guys, are you listening or sleeping?
Listening, sir.
Listening, sir.
Listening, sir.
Okay.
Listening, sir.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Oops, five. Five is there now. Okay. So let's get started with a class called, what is this program is all about? Constructor overloading. Overloading. Okay. So what is constructor overloading? So we have to write many constructors, like two or more constructors in a class. Class my date, that is my class name. My date. When you are giving class name, make sure that every word first letter should be capitalized, guys. So that is why my date means M and D capital letters. Student demo means student S and D capital letters. Employee example means P and E are capital letters. Like that, we have to go with the sentence case. Now, what I'm saying, private integer, date, DD, MM, YY, date, month, year. So let's write the first constructor, default constructor. What is the first one? User will not give anything. We have to give some default. DD is equal to 1. MM is equal to 1. So YY is equal to 20, 22. So this is a very simple constructor which is giving 1, 1, 20, 22. Okay. So whenever I see that default date 1, 1, 2022, I will understand that I did not supply or user did not supply any date to the transaction. So transaction date we are going to accept from user. So with the help of constructor. Now we are taking a user will give date and month, but we have to say, so I'm taking two parameters, date and month. So we need to store date D value into DD object. So what I'm saying, DD is equal to D and then mm is equal to m. Okay, so in this way we need to give values for second constructor which is having date and month. But what about here? User will give only date and month. We have to give 2022 automatically. That is why yy is equal to 2022. So I'm giving directly. So user will give only date and month, but we have to give okay, year also. This is the constructor with the two parameters, and here constructor, parameter less constructor or default constructor, parameter less constructor. Okay, third one is I am creating another constructor, third constructor, which is having three parameters. This time user will pass all the three, integer D, integer M and integer Y. So DD value I'm storing in D, MM value I'm storing in M, and YY value I'm storing in y value I'm storing in y value. Okay, it's fine. Now let us write another method called show date method. You can give any name, guys, show date or display date or whatever name, because it's our own function. So where I'm displaying transaction date, dd plus slash plus mm, beside that I want to give yy. Okay, date, month and year all are ready. So now what are we doing? We are trying to call the show date method. So after creating objects, so I have three scenarios now. First scenario, I'm not passing any date, month, year. It should give me default date. Second scenario, I'm passing date and month, but it has to give me 2022 along with the date and month. Third situation is passing all the three. I need to print all the three. And the last method is displaying date in my required format. Like I want to display first date slash month slash year. You can give hyphen also, guys. Some people like hyphen to give. You can give hyphen also. So now what I'm doing, I'm creating three objects. Okay. So first object, my date m1 is equal to new my date. So here I'm not passing any parameters. So there is nothing. If you don't pass anything here, that is going to call default constructor. So default constructor called here. So m1 dot show date. So what is the date we are expecting, guys? If you don't pass any date, what will be the output? So it will give you 1/1/2022. Let's check it out, guys. First object. Let us write console dot read key. Let's execute and see. So you will get 1/1/2022. So this is coming from where, guys? It is coming from default constructor. So now I want to call a constructor which is having only two parameters. So how to do this? For this, you can take another object this time. my date m2 is equal to new my date. So m2 dot show date, that's it. So m2 dot show date is going to call the method, and here I am passing what you call two parameters I'm passing. Okay, 4 comma 11 I'm giving. So when I give 4 and 11, it has to give me 4 11 2022. Is it possible? Yes, let's check it out and see, guys. So first object called M1 is calling 1/1/2022 default date, and second one is just I've given 4 and 11, but it is giving me 2022. So no sir, I don't want to give like this manually 2022, because tomorrow it may be after January if I run 2023 I want to get, but here it is showing 2022. What to do? So instead of this, you can use a class called you can write like this also, but instead of that, this is another way of writing, that is yy is equal to, you have a class called datetime class in C sharp. Datetime dot now dot year, current year will be called automatically. See the output, guys, same output 4/11/2022. But if you run this program next year, like after January, you will get 2023. So that is the advantage of this class. So date time is a built-in predefined class in C sharp. Now current year, you want current year or current date or current month or whatever time, everything you can get it with the help of date time class. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes,
Now
sir.
third object I'm creating, my date m3 is equal to new my date. Here I'm passing all the three, like 15 8 19 47 I said. So it will be automatically displaying all the three m3 dot show date. That's it. It's very simple. So three type of objects are there. First object, we don't have any parameters, so it will call the default constructor. Second one, since I passed only two parameters, so this two parameterized constructor will be called, and if you pass all the three, and the third constructor is getting called. It's very simple to remember. Let's run it and see, guys. So first default constructor is 1/1/2022. Second constructor I gave 4 and 11, but it is giving me 2022 automatically. Third one I gave all the three, it is giving all the three. So this is called as constructor overloading. Okay. So now let me write a small topic to the same, and then we'll stop it for today. So that is, what happens if you write here instead of dmy. So why are you giving, sir, dd equal to d? So because I want to identify. So d means local variable, dd means member variable. You can see here all the variables which are inside the class are called member variables. Fine, that's okay. But here what happens if I give same name for both? So I gave dd mm here also. So can I write dd is equal to dd here? Of course, it's okay, you can write it. But what happens when I do so? So, any guess from anybody? So, I gave dd mmyy here also, and here also we have variables called dd mmyy, number variables. So, anybody, what is the output of this? So, what happens when I do so? What is the output of this third one? Can we get 15 8 1947 this time when you say like this? Or any output? Guys, please tell me quickly.
Same, sir.
Same output, huh? See the output now? 0/0/0. Why it is giving zeros? Because the values what you are giving is getting passed through the constructor. Up to this is okay. But when it is assigning dd is equal to dd, so dd means local variable only. It will not pass the value from local to the member variable. I cannot initialize into this. Then how do we call this dd? So with the help of this keyword, now you can write like this. This dot dd is equal to dd. This time, so what is meant by this dot dd? That is said to be class variable. That is said to be this one. So what is normal dd? This is said to be local variable. Okay. So local variable value I'm passing to member variable. That is said to be instance variable. Same way this dot mm is equal to mm, and then this dot yy is equal to 0.5. Now it's perfect. Now you run it and see the output, guys. You will get output perfectly as expected. 15, 8, 1947. Guys, are you understanding? So this is called as
Yes, sir.
the purpose of this keyword. So what is the purpose of this keyword? So whenever local variable names and member variable names are same, then to identify or to call the member variables, we have to use this keyword. Okay. So let me write it here. This keyword. So whenever the names of member variables or instance variables and local variables are same in a class, then we have to use this keyword in order to refer member variables or data members. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it in our notes. See guys, here we have done with the constructor overloading, and followed by something called date time class also we have used, because I want to generate here automatically. I don't want to give manually. If you want to give manually, anyhow it is common thing. Okay, and this keyword is used when you have same name for local variables and member variables. So this dot dd means what here? This dot dd means member variable. This dot dd means member variable or instance variable, you can call like anything. Okay, yeah, that's all about for today. So I think as per the agenda we have done with all, right? All topics completed as per the agenda. So we are successfully done with the constructor and types of constructor. We have to see only two types: default constructor and parameterized constructor. And the third one is static constructor. So we will discuss tomorrow with the static keywords. When do we use static, and static methods, and static classes, and we will also discuss static constructor as well. So this keyword is also completed. Okay. So any doubts from today's session, guys? Anybody? Gopal, Sai?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, please practice all these example and let me know
Okay,
any
sir.
doubts. Okay. Yes, ma. So any doubts, guys?
No, sir.